Kim Crowe, the experience at Eton Dorney, those crowds looked incredible as well. I know every venue is packed, but just to watch those stands with everyone screaming at you, amazing as well, I expect.
It was exceptional. I mean, we come from a sport where we will be lucky if our parents come to a regatta, and then to actually have those crowds was amazing. I've got to say though, I didn't actually hear a thing in either of my finals, but definitely warming up, it was absolutely deafening.
Now we spoke with Mr. Coates a bit about the Great Britain rivalry, and with your silver, the only ones to actually beat you home were the Great Britain team. They were actually the first Great Britain women rowers to actually win an Olympic gold. Did you feel that you were sharing a bit of that experience in the hype of the crowd, or were you just really peeved with them for getting ahead of you?
It's actually a funny question, because before the Olympics, we absolutely wanted to win that race. We spoke a lot about, you know, we're going for the gold and this is how we're going to beat them and this is how we're going to do it. But when we crossed that finish line, it was the most amazing feeling, because we'd had a race beyond our wildest dreams. We had a race that was even better than we could have imagined. And so we were ecstatic, because that was, to have that race in the pressure of an Olympic final was really, really special. And it was the culmination of a journey for us, and something that meant a lot. And the fact that another crew had beaten us, you just have to, I mean, your hats go off to them, because they were an absolutely exceptional crew. And there was a lot of emotion in their boat, and they were very excited. Catherine Granger had 3 Olympic silver medals, and that was her first gold. And they were just exceptional. And it was an honour to stand next to them on the podium.
Well, I can tell you that the excitement back here was for you, because watching the Aussies go down Eton Dorney was exceptional. We'll be speaking to Murray about that in a different element in a moment. But I just do want to know something about the rowing. When you get to the end, how much can you celebrate? Because that looks seriously rocky if you... I don't know, it's like you want to jump up and down, but you don't do that in a boat, do you?
A few people are better at it than others. I was definitely holding on to my oars in the single. I was quite fuzzy and wasn't too sure where I was or what was going on, and so I was just holding my oars, just hoping someone could drag me over to the side. But the celebrations are a bit different, and often wait till you're on land.
I think that's probably safest, as it probably was for Malcolm Paige at Weymouth. Now, when you win, you're out way in the middle of the water. How does that feel? Do you just want to get to land?
I guess with our sport, quite often we're a long way away from the crowds and a long way away from shore. But one of the great things I did about the Weymouth venue was that our medal race, or our final race of the whole regatta, our 11th race, they actually hold it very close to shore, surrounded by, well, one side was a point and the other side was a break wall. So it was a natural playground, I guess, or football field for sailing. And although it made it very tricky with Mother Nature, obviously coming off that geographic influence, but to have 25,000 people standing on the shore, or sitting on the shore cheering, admittedly most of it for our GBR counterparts, but thankfully we got to the bottom of Magnum, John.
And in the end, you were ultimately the only Australian to defend their title at the London Olympics. Was that a special goal, or were you just out there to do your best? Because of course you were sailing with your new partner in the boat.
Look, sure, there was a lot of goals across the whole 4 years. I guess going into the Olympic Games, just short of the Olympic Games, being the only Australian, that certainly was an objective. To be the first Australian sailor to ever win 2 gold medals was. I started out the 4 years cycle with that objective. So to achieve that was incredible. To do it with a new partner as well was an amazing, I suppose an amazing another 4 years. That was already my 4th campaign, so it was a long road, and in many ways it gave me a new lease of life, and I suppose a new venom for that period, and actually it was probably one of the most rewarding Olympiads I've ever had. Results certainly said that as well, but it also just the feeling and the level that we got to, as I suppose our performance level was the greatest that I'd ever felt.
And just tell us a little bit about your base. And we heard a few quiet stories about the pub that the Aussies took over at Weymouth. How was it being away from the Olympic Village, as it were? It sounds like you, can I say, made their own fun? That's fair?
Yeah, it was...
And we're Chatham House rules, you can say whatever you want here. Fill us in.
I guess, I suppose from the Olympic perspective, yes, it is a little bit different for our sport because we quite often are a long way away from the main venue, and as most people know, the Thames is not probably a great place for sailing. So we were, 4 hours thereabouts away from London, and in many ways you do feel a little bit detached from the rest of the, I suppose, Olympics or even the Australian team in some way, but it's something we, I suppose, prepared for and knew about. And when it comes to the food hall or the village itself, that is, I think, a little bit different. I know when I went up to London for a few days here and there, it really does look like a zoo in the food hall. You got, your 7'8" tall people to right down to your small gymnasts and everything in between, and it's quite amazing. But the sailors, I don't know, we're the same people that we see at most events year by year. I suppose the big difference is you're all in your uniforms and you're all eating breakfast opposite each other and eyeballing each other when you know you've got to go out and compete that day, and that is the probably single biggest difference that you only do once every 4 years, and it's, I suppose, an incredible experience. But the pub, it originated more in the sense from us athletes saying that we wanted to create a place for our families and supporters to go, so we wouldn't be hassled or felt like we were dependent to look after them, or while we were competing. We wanted to be a little bit selfish in that sense. And anyway, the plan grew to the point that there was many Yachting Australia staff manning the place and making it a real home for the Australians. And believe it or not, a lot of the locals said, "Oh, screw the locals, we're actually supporting Australia for the 2 weeks." And we ended up with, I'm not sure what the number was, but to get a drink, it took about half an hour, to the point that there was a mini stash held under the table in a corner for the Australians. But it was a great just festival atmosphere there, and obviously with the success we had, it just kept booming. And us being the last of the gold medals to win, although the second last sailing event to win a medal, it was very difficult for Matthew and I, because we'd be sitting in the village, only about 1 kilometre away from the pub, and then we'd hear another night of fireworks and music and everything going off, and like, when does our turn come along? Come on. It was quite frustrating in that sense, but also we got there in the end, so it was very rewarding.